You know, I got to tell you, I love those movies. I bought a box set at Walmart, and if I can laugh and pray in 90 minutes, that is money well spent.
Oh, you know what, sir? I really appreciate you saying that. I like that. I really appreciate it. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, you know, right back at you, my brother.
All right, well, let's take a look at our final Jeopardy!
It starts like Sunday brunch, Tom Hanks in a MAGA hat, joking about faith, family, and Walmart DVDs. But then the smile fades, the tone drops, and laugh and pray quietly becomes fight and obey. Just like that, America's dad turns into a warning sign. Final Jeopardy clue: how did democracy die? Answer: with applause, a red hat, and one really awkward laugh track. If Tom Hanks in a red hat offends you, Final Jeopardy may not be your round. Viewer discretion advised. Bring a sense of humor. All takes reflect real public and media reactions.
America has faced those sorts of circumstances and times. We have never turned to a simplistic, self-involved gas bag of a candidate.
It wasn't a name drop. It didn't have to be. When Forrest Gump calls out a gas bag, you don't need a decoder ring. Conservatives heard the dog whistle and blew air horns in return.
Conservatives filled X with reactions. Political commentator Meghan McCain wrote, Tom Hanks always wanted to pretend he's the likable everyman, but he's as hate-mongering of regular Americans as any host on MSNBC. Good luck becoming less and less culturally relevant by the second, bro. Mario Nawfal, internet personality and founder of crypto and blockchain advisory firm IBC, wrote, Hollywood still doesn't get it, portraying Trump supporters as racist caricatures while he's winning record minority support. SNL's trying 2016 jokes in 2025.
Tom Hanks wore a MAGA hat, and just like that, the gloves came off, while Trump gains minority votes. The backlash was instant. Trump hit back on Truth Social, Green posted a meme, and even Michael Steele, no MAGA fan, called it a low blow to working-class Americans.
Tom Hanks, I'm sure he's worth $1 billion. I'm sure he's got multiple mansions across the world. He probably has, or at least can afford, a yacht, every fancy sports car he wants. And you know who got it for him? All of us. Guys like the one he's making fun of right there, who went to see Forrest Gump and Big and all the fun Tom Hanks movies and never once thought that he was judging them as stupid, rural, worth-nothing racists. But he showed his cards there.
When Megyn Kelly says he showed his cards, she's not wrong. But it wasn't just a hand Tom Hanks laid down the whole deck on live TV. MAGA hat? Check. Racist punchlines? Check. And somewhere in America, 74 million voters saw their Thanksgiving uncle staring back at them in HD.
I don't believe that any group is one thing. A lot of these people, in my opinion, have been misled. They thought that grocery prices would come down. They're up. They thought inflation was coming down. It's up. They thought that Medicaid was safe. It's not. They thought Social Security was safe. It's not. So it's not only racism that caused Trump to be in office.
Joy didn't yell. She just listed the promises people believed and didn't get. Then she said, it's not just racism. To progressives, Chuck wasn't a caricature. He was recognition. Historian Heather Cox called it 1930s anti-fascist satire. The Lincoln Project? They didn't explain. They played real rally clips over Chuck's lines. Same script, different setting. No laugh track. Not everyone laughed. Some tuned in, some tuned out, but everyone felt it. And that's when the sketch stopped being comedy and started being a fault line. So if you're still watching good, that means you're standing right where the cracks begin.
Tom Hanks joined the sketch, bringing back the character of Doug, because the first Doug was in a 2016 sketch. And in fact, that was the most popular installment of Black Jeopardy, was with Doug as the Trump supporter in 2016. I think it's a very subversive sketch, in fact. It's about Black culture being American culture. And so when you have the regular Jeopardy, you know, it's basically the white Jeopardy. That already exists.
This wasn't just a nostalgic throwback, it was strategic. By reviving Doug, a character once beloved for being clueless but harmless, the sketch sharpened the contrast. Doug didn't evolve, America did, and not necessarily for the better. Sonny's observation is key. Chuck isn't the punchline, the culture clash is. And in 2025, even Jeopardy isn't safe from racial politics.
Countless members of the SNL family taken from us too soon. I'm speaking, of course, about SNL characters and sketches that have aged horribly. But even though these characters, accents, and let's just call them ethnic wigs, were unquestionably in poor taste, you all laughed at them. So if anyone should be canceled, shouldn't it be you, the audience?
It's a clever reversal. Tom isn't just mocking cancel culture, he's turning the spotlight around. The audience becomes the punchline, the accomplice, the hypocrite. It's risky, but in an age where everyone's offended and no one admits they laughed in 1998, it lands with precision. So, who's really holding the mic now, the comedian or the crowd? Drop a comment below. Is satire still funny when it's about you?
Because I do believe that politics is a big part of Saturday Night Live for the past 50 years.
Absolutely.
And when it's done correctly, it's very effective. For instance, Steve Martin's monologue was very effective.
It was very effective.
I was actually vacationing on a friend's boat down in the Gulf of Steve Martin, he said. That makes the point that Trump wants to change names just because he's the president. He can do whatever he wants, you know?
While conservatives cry foul, The View reminds us SNL has always punched up, not down. From Nixon to Reagan to Trump, the show's best bits hit hardest when power gets too comfortable. Joy's point is subtle but sharp. The real issue isn't that SNL made a political sketch, it's that this one hit too. Chuck may have started as just a sketch, but by the time the laughter stopped, he had become a national fault line. Saturday Night Live didn't just parody America, it exposed it. And what happened next? That's when things stopped being funny.
That is money well spent.
Oh, you know what, sir? I really appreciate you saying that. I like that. I really do. No, it's all good. Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Trust me, it's all good. Okay, yeah.
It started harmless. Chuck, Jesus, and a Walmart DVD box set. Just another MAGA uncle with a smile. But that wasn't a punchline, it was a trap. Chuck was built from everything Hank saw at a Trump rally, attended in disguise. He came back shaken. This isn't just anger, he told SNL. It's rehearsal. So he asked for the role, and wrote the lines with 28-year-old Javier Gomez, who didn't imagine the MAGA chants. He lived them. When comedy becomes documentation, it's not just acting, it's warning. Stick around. The next line might sound familiar.
Republicans that I never questioned that their sincerity or their belief in the American system. And I think with the administration the way it's been, I think I'm not sure the man has took his oath seriously to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
This isn't just a political opinion. It's disillusionment in prime time. Hanks didn't call Trump a liar. He implied something worse, that Trump doesn't even care about the oath. It's the kind of line that doesn't need to shout. It whispers, and the room still goes quiet.
I think the United States of America is going through a great reckoning on a number of the facets of what it means to be an American. You know, in the past, there were Republicans that I never questioned that their sincerity or their belief in the American system. And I think with the administration the way it's been, I think I'm not sure the man has took his oath seriously to preserve, protect, and defend the.
Hanks frames it as a national identity crisis, not a left versus right issue, but a collapse of shared meaning. The man who once embodied Mr. Rogers meets Constitution now says he no longer recognizes the country he believed in. When Tom Hanks questions the system, you know the system's not doing great.
One of the smartest things I heard from a guy who practices Buddhism is, my life used to be nothing but chopping wood and carrying water. And now that I have received some enlightenment, I find that all that is necessary for me to live is to chop wood and carry water.
Yes.
This clip, widely shared by MAGA influencers, shows conservative pundits painting Hanks as an out-of-touch elitist actor trying to lecture real Americans. It's a familiar playbook. Frame satire as snobbery and shift attention away from the truth it's pointing at. Chuck was never the real target. The audience was. Before the sketch ended, it had already gone global. Chuck became a headline, a meme, a sales spike. Anheuser-Busch asked for edits. The MAGA hat sold out 300% surge, tag number sign, Chuck approved. Russian and Chinese media called it proof of American collapse. Across Europe, The Guardian called it courage. Chuck wasn't a character anymore. He was a litmus test. And if you're still wondering what side you're on, keep watching. The next reaction says more than the sketch ever could.
You give a guy a fair shot for as much as you can, and I have great faith in in our system of government. But I believe that I have witnessed, from my perspective, is that there is fear and outrage and xenophobia has been commoditized. It's because it's turned into the bigger trademark for how America puts itself out in the world.
Tom's not yelling. He's disappointed. This isn't a meltdown, it's a diagnosis. And he delivers it like a weary doctor breaking bad news to a country that's allergic to honesty. His own response? Classic Hanks, with a fastball of irony. There's no crying in baseball, and there's no subtlety in MAGA politics. Even his 1993 Oscar speech got pulled back into the fray because when satire stings, people start digging for ammo.
I think there's always reason to be worried about the short term, but I look at the longer term of what happened. I think there is a ongoing look. Our Constitution says we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union.
Even under fire, Hanks kept his faith in the long game. America isn't broken, he said, just going through a national midlife crisis. The sketch, of course, lit up the old debate. Was Chuck satire or slander? Conservatives called it dehumanizing. Progressives said that's what satire does. And Gomez? He didn't flinch. If the fascist shoe fits, maybe stop marching in it.
Over the long term, however, we inevitably make progress towards, I think, that more perfect union. That's what it is. And how does it come about? It comes about not because of somebody's narrative of who is right or who is a victim or not. It comes out of the slow melding of the truth to the actual practical life that we end up living. It comes down to the good deed that is practiced with your neighbor, with your local merchants.
In the end, Hanks isn't selling outrage. He's reminding people that America gets better not through hashtags, but through neighbors, which is deeply untrendy and deeply necessary. So yes, Tom Hanks survived the storm, but the sketch left a bigger crater than anyone expected, because what started as one man in a red hat was now unraveling everything we thought we agreed on. Was it comedy, propaganda, or that awkward third thing no one wants to admit? Drop a comment, hit subscribe before someone turns it into a Netflix doc and says you missed it.
So, not just a direct jab at MAGA Nation for its bigotry, but also a subtle but roundhouse punch in the face over their hypocrisy in misappropriating Christianity. It was an explosive moment. Hanks delivered the line perfectly.
Here's where it gets deeper than red hats and applause. Critics pointed out that the most explosive moment wasn't the MAGA joke. It was the veiled jab at how MAGA misuses Christianity while claiming moral high ground. And the fact that this is what caused the biggest outrage says a lot more about the audience than the actor.
They could have the spiritual discipline to love their neighbor. We wouldn't be in this mess. That is what offended MAGA. And that is how you know that we are living in a fascist society that depends on the consent of a cult following.
When loving your neighbor becomes political heresy, you know something's gone sideways. The sketch hit a nerve not because it lied, but because it quoted scripture and held it up like a mirror, and MAGA didn't like the reflection.
The United States of America is the promised land, the closest the world has ever gotten to a true promised land. And I think that this election is about whether or not we, the people of the United States, are going to promote the general welfare and provide for the common defense and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and for our posterity.
And there it is. Hanks doesn't hate America. He believes in it enough to be disappointed. This wasn't an actor tearing down a country. It was a citizen saying, "We could do better than this." The sketch may have ended on TV, but in real life, people didn't change the channel. Because after the laughs and outrage came something messier. Everyday Americans picking sides and digging trenches. And the trenches didn't stop at US borders. Across the Atlantic, European allies watched nervously, calling the sketch a symptom of America's deepening cultural fracture. Meanwhile, authoritarian media in Russia and China played the clip without context, airing it like a trailer for the fall of Western democracy, and global press split down the middle. The Guardian praised it as satirical courage. Others called it elitist provocation. Either way, the red hat had gone global. So if you're still asking, is this just a sketch? You're already in the plot. Hit subscribe. What De Niro says next? It makes Chuck look like a warm-up act.
I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump.
Yeah, he's so stupid. I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry.
Robert De Niro didn't ease into it. He didn't qualify, hedge, or clarify. He opened his mouth and dropped a verbal sledgehammer. No setup, no nuance, just raw, uncensored rage, delivered like a mafia boss reading bad Yelp reviews. It's rare for an Oscar-winning actor to sound like your uncle at Thanksgiving dinner, but here we are. De Niro doesn't build an argument. He throws adjectives like spaghetti at the wall, stupid, punk, pig, mutt, a one-man roast of a former president. This isn't a rant. It's a rapid-fire indictment. De Niro lists Trump's alleged sins like he's reading from a grand jury transcript, only with more passion and less legal training.
He's a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. He is a dangerous person. And we have to people realize, a lot of people, this audience, but the people who somehow think he's going to be the answer to their prayers, whatever those are.
Did you know him?
No.
If Freud and a boxing coach wrote a script together, it would sound like this. De Niro's diagnosis is so clinical, it almost belongs in a medical journal, if that journal was published by HBO. That's De Niro with the diagnosis. Now get ready for what he'd do about it. But before we get there, we want to hear from you. Was he saying what you're thinking, or did he take it way too far? Leave a comment below.
I don't know whether this is actually possible in reality, but where I can handcuff him and take him away in an orange jumpsuit. That would be... That's what I said right after he was elected. Give him a chance. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. This guy has proven himself to be a total loser.
Subtle? Number cathartic? Absolutely. De Niro doesn't just want justice, he wants it televised in high definition, preferably with wardrobe. Here's the twist. De Niro didn't hate Trump from day one. He gave him the benefit of the doubt, which in De Niro terms is basically a handshake and 3 weeks of silence.
He was an idiot. He was a clown. He was a clown in New York. And New Yorkers said, some would go with him, of course, people who work in what he does, some of them. But it's just, he's a classic bully. If you had a schoolyard and he walked in and he had his bully friends around, The other people decide whether they want to oppose him or they want to let him just tell him what to do and own that, the schoolyard or the basketball court or whatever it is. He's got to be stopped.
This wasn't just personal, it was cultural. De Niro paints Trump not as a president, but as that one playground tyrant who never grew up, surrounded by cowardly sidekicks and a school board too afraid to intervene.
You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is, shame on you.
You have compared the Trump family to a gangster family, which is something coming from you. What do you mean?
They are. Well, he because he thinks he's a gangster. He does everything like a gangster. I don't think that gangsters in that world would think much of him.
Robert De Niro doesn't mince words. In fact, he dices, slices, and flambés them. To him, Trump isn't a flawed man or a political opponent. He's a role so irredeemable, even De Niro wouldn't play him, and this is a guy who played Travis Bickle, Jake LaMotta, and Vito Corleone. This wasn't just political disagreement, it was moral rejection. De Niro didn't just say Trump was wrong. He said Trump was unplayable, unforgivable, unhuman, and in a country where anyone can be turned into a movie character. That's saying something.
Where we couldn't believe that it happened. The guy is a total monster. And anybody, I don't understand it. I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They want to fuck with people, screw them, because they're unhappy about something. He's such a mean, nasty, hateful person. I never play him as an actor because I can't see any good in him. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him.
We watched a sketch turn into scandal, outrage into merchandise, and satire into foreign policy fodder. We saw MAGA hats sell out while moral lines cracked open. And through it all, we heard one truth, spoken loudly, awkwardly, sometimes profanely. This isn't just politics anymore. It's identity, it's fear, it's comedy clashing with control, and somewhere between Tom Hanks's quiet delivery and De Niro's verbal flamethrower, America caught a glimpse of itself, and it flinched. If a comedy sketch can divide a country, maybe it wasn't that funny to begin with. Or maybe it was never really about the joke. So tell us, what did you see in the mirror? And more importantly, will we laugh again, together, before the next punchline lands? Don't miss the next episode in America's ongoing comedy series. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.